gentlemen, welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I'm Nick McDaniel. This is Myron, buddy. What's going on, man?
Hey. Well, I'm here from where I wish I would have been able to watch all of WrestleMania from. I had to watch a lot of it upstairs for some reason. But I'm a happy man. How about you?
Look, WrestleMania week, I should say. We used to call it weekend, but WrestleMania week has come and gone, and a little bit of a mixed bag this week.
Sleepy. I watched a lot of wrestling.
Dude, I was at a show last night. I had to watch Raw when I came home.
Yeah, you stayed up and watched the Hall of Fame. I still even got to that yet.
Oh, yeah. I was that mixed bag. Here's the thing. This might be one of the most mixed bag manias in a while. It was either like everybody hated it or everything. There's some people that seem to really like it. Some people really, are not so much or whatever. I mean, so much so, Myron, there's probably some type of a Patreon thing.
Yes.
Like where you can read reviews and stuff like that, where like if you were a $1 member, just a $1 level, just a support level at patreon.com/tapped-out-pod, you could have read those reviews. We did boom, night 1, boom, night 2, Raw review. You get the weekly TV shows, all that stuff, they're just constantly coming out. We appreciate the guy who's contributing to those. But there's some big news on this, this front as well. I'm going to get to in a second. But, look, at $5 level, you get all the weekly shows early. $10 level, you get everything and anything we ever do. You're going to get that early. As well as now, as I was telling you about, the $10, the partnership with Tapped Out Collectibles. You get the digital format of the exclusive monthly Patreon. And the $25 members get the autographed version, 8x10, actually mailed to them. And Myron, I showed them to you.
I saw it. I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna go to Brody's table. Like, can you make this out to Myron, please? Because those are sweet, Nick.
So,
Man.
Yeah, so those will get mailed out. I'm going to post them later. So, obviously, if you're a Patreon member, Brady Booker was our first month, the month of April. I did match. That's part of the reason I was at the show last night. Yeah. Got him to autograph all of those for the $25 tier people, and those will go out here shortly to those members, and we appreciate all the support. I may do a tease, though. I may put a picture out of it and kind of show people what they would get, going forward. You'd be surprised last night. I was in the house last night and got a commitment from some pretty interesting names that you see on TV from time to time.
Yeah, you're good about those TV names. You get to talk to a lot of important people.
So those are going to be in the next few months as well. So I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you guys are. I hope you see the value again. Hey, we'd always appreciate feedback, stuff you'd like to see, new stuff changed, updated, whatever, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. But, also share your opinions, because at the end of this, you're probably going to disagree with some of the ones that I have. I can go ahead and tell you that. I got a feeling for that.
You'll probably all agree with me because, I'm always right about professional wrestling, but that's another topic. Yeah. All in all, Nick, what is your opinion?
Let's do it at the end, and I'll tell you why. Because of the things I didn't like, I'd rather hit them as we go. Okay. Because if I say the thing, I didn't like XYZ, it kind of gives it. So you're right. I appreciate it. That's normally how we would do it. We do the overview, broad overview. It was positive. Let's go. At the end of the day, I was like, okay, cool. There was lots of more things. There was more I liked than I didn't like. Let's put it that way.
That's great. That's incredibly fair. Okay.
Let me ask you this too. Is this a fair question? Do you now have to judge Mania as like from SmackDown to end of Raw?
Yes.
Because you got to get the setup. There's matches that happen that were they're WrestleMania SmackDown or whatever. Like, okay, gotcha. Then you go through Mania, and then the button on it at the end is the Raw After Mania.
When is it going to become the NXT After Mania, the way it's going? Because we saw so many people from NXT last night.
But it's years down the road. Yeah, but I think those kids are still down there for a reason.
But then you're going to have NXT Mexico.
A lot of that we'll get into 100%. Or do you want to go there now? Do you want to talk about the whole AAA?
I mean, that was the biggest announcement. That was the biggest announcement. They had all those luchadors that strange woman that looked like an elf, and they made that big announcement about buying AAA, which to me, solid.
The biggest pushback
investment.
I had with that announcement, I'm going to ask you this. There was one guy from AAA there. The rest of them all were WWE people. The wrestlers. Vikingo was like that.
Yeah, Vikingo was there. Yeah.
That he's the only one. The rest of them was like
he's the one they're putting the rocket on, apparently, because he was,
Now, I mean, I get it, but I'm saying he was the only one, like, because I was like, if you were going to, now, I understand, like, if you're going to have AAA, like, yeah, who would know all of them on the grander scale?
Well, they wear masks.
But hey, you could have put Andrade, Mysterio, and then, even Penta or whatever, and then a whole bunch of guys from AAA maybe or something. I don't know, but it is a dangerously slippery slope that we have to keep an eye on. We've heard New Japan could be next. I don't know if you saw the article that the World Wrestling Council is, but it's going to be a talent, like a partnership, more like the TNA thing than a purchase.
They have trouble with the bathrooms down there, so I don't know about the facilities.
Yeah. I don't think they want to buy. I think they just want to be partners with them for some reason. Here's my thing. I promise you we're going to get into Mania, folks. It appears as though Triple H is getting his dream of NXT being a global brand, like across, like, NXT Japan. That's something we'd heard about, right? We'd heard about NXT Europe, all these kind of things. Is it going to be a matter of partnerships or purchases? And it's because, look, let's go ahead and say it. I was not a fan of the NXT Mexico name. If that happens.
No, I don't like it. But the thing is, Nick, they develop all this talent. They're developing talent. All this great talent. NXT is stacked full, but the WWE roster is stacked full. And then they bring people in from other places. What are they going to do with all these people they're developing? Where's a place for them? I don't know the answer to that question. It was all multi-person matches all weekend. They were great, but they got a lot of people.
I think it's more a matter of, like, hey, we're going to get our brand, the WWE brand, and a foothold. And remember us talking about, like, WWE just being so far ahead in the United States, but have they peaked here? That's the question.
Oh.
And now we got to grow the market of the brand in the other places.
And folks, I used the VPN to be able to watch Mania on Netflix for a little while. I went back to Peacock because, I don't want to cause any problems or anything, but it was happening. That worldwide feed, folks, wrestling everywhere. They've got the platform to put wrestling on television in the entire world. Think about that, Nick. It's not like CMLL or AAA. They're all going to have their own streaming service and stuff. They're going to be on Netflix along with WWE, theoretically. Okay? That's going to be worldwide access to professional wrestling on a major streaming platform all the time. That's pretty insane. That's your what did you call it? Saturday night 605 on a global scale.
The Superstation?
The Superstation show. Yeah, the Superstation show y'all used to watch on Saturday nights in Georgia.
Oh, Superstars of Wrestling. Yeah.
Superstars of Wrestling, where there were like 18 different wrestling shows on that night.
I mean, look, I hope it works out. But I think there's a Patreon video. So I think there's listen, let's go ahead and say this. Everybody knows I'm a fan of the WWE. Everybody knows that I'm really pro on the business side, and I'm super like, hey, whatever, it's business for the most part. It's cool. Let's call this what this is. WWE is putting AEW on an island.
Are they even competition? I mean, I'm not degrading AEW. Are they competition or an alternative? I don't see them as competition. I see them as an alternative.
It's not the competition, but you know how here's the thing. This is what Vince did to the territories, folks. Vince, like, slowly picked them off one at a time until there was no competition left. AEW is being the alternative. Where would they be today if there's no partnership with New Japan? If that partnership was cut off, Think about listen, you clearly haven't watched the product if you haven't looked at it enough lately and realized bunch of AAA talent, bunch of New Japan talent
Every
on
time
that
I turn
roster.
on, it's somebody from overseas.
So my point being, cut those deals off. By the way, they had a deal with TNA at one point where they were partnering. Now, did it all work out? Sure.
Hey, I can't wait to hear what Conan says about the whole thing, because Conan's the only person with that left AEW without a non-disclosure, if I'm not mistaken. Guys, this is insane. This whole thing is insane. But if they have to have some competition, Nick, or they're going to get another antitrust lawsuit. Okay? You can't get another antitrust lawsuit. You have to have competition.
They are taking away the international markets, not the United States markets. Did you see what I'm saying?
Well, NATO's not going to sue you for antitrust, I don't guess. I don't know
Correct.
the rules.
That's what I'm saying. So, but inside the country, they're partnering with TNA. They're going to work with Puerto Rico. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're buying the company in Mexico, and there's rumors that they're interested in buying the company in Japan.
The business head comes out again. There we go. That makes sense. I think we're going to have access to a lot of talent we've never seen before. I don't want to get to the point where I have to get 18 more shows I have to watch every week, but I look forward to getting some alternatives.
I 100% think this is going to be like they are going to separate out these into different brands per se, and like they'll have their own shows down there. They'll have it over if they do to Japan. I think it's more a matter of, hey, we can, if you bring in somebody and you're like, hey, we want them to learn the lucha style more, so send them down there. But here's the other thing. It's also a place where we don't have anything for Rey Mysterio. What can we do with Rey Mysterio? Hey, let's send him to NXT Mexico for a couple months until
we did that with Almost in Japan. It seemed to be very successful.
Yeah. But if you have New Japan, then it's okay. Well, let's send Finn Balor to New Japan. You know, WWE or NXT Japan. They love him over there. We don't have anything for him for a couple months. Let's give him something to do over there, and he can go over there and he can sell a whole bunch of tickets over there. It's another outlet they can take these stars when they don't have anything for them. If they don't let them go on a vacation, or if the guy's like, or it's AAA ball. Like, you could always send a guy who's rehabbed up. He's like, hey, I need to go get some ring rust off. Well, hey, before we bring you back to TV, we're going to send you to NXT Japan for a month and let you kind of work some matches and get back in and get that ring rust off. Let them see your ring rust, not the crowd here.
Which one of you guys sent the figure out of what they paid for AAA, apparently? What the rumor was?
It was only like 55 or 50. I can't.
That's like the NXT TV deal. I mean, that's not a lot of money.
Listen, we don't know what kind of financial state they were in. Conrad Thompson said that he believes New Japan's in a little bit of a shaky financial ground, and that is why he believes they will be purchased. That's
I hear a lot of people repeating that. Not just Conrad Thompson. I keep seeing it on the internet from a lot of different places. Not Dave Meltzer, because he lifts up the stuff he loves. But fair and impartial right here on the Tap Out podcast.
So
but let's get into the show, man.
We're not gonna go. Like, we're not going to dig through the weeds on every single match. If that's what you're wanting, then it's the wrong show. We're going to hit the highlights like we always do. We're kind of going to go by night. It's just to keep it in order as best we can. Let's just, matter of fact, let's just go by basically the order of the card, how it happened on TV. It might make it even easier for us. Jey Uso and Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. Obviously, Jey Uso is your new World Heavyweight Champion. What were your thoughts?
I enjoyed the match. I thought I didn't see the ending coming. That whole ending was like, I got the three splashes, but then Gunther tapping. Nah, never saw that coming. Made a lot of people happy, but his name is still main event Jey Uso. And he was on the opening match for the...
Now, so did you see this, that Gunther actually addressed that? Somebody asked him about it, and he's just kind of like, you can't get caught up in that kind of stuff. Like, you can't think, especially things you can't control. There's just, you know what I mean? Like, why are you going to lose sleep over it?
Okay.
And a lot of people say if you're not in the last match, you want to be in the first match. And set
That's
the
the way
tone
it's
for the
been
show.
lately. They have been booking very strong matches in the first match. Okay.
So yeah, I by the way, I appreciate the people that were just literally. I felt like I was bombarded with the copying and pasting of the if Gunther can tap out,
Yes.
at WrestleMania, you can tap out on an indie show post that was going around. Listen, I get it. I hope this becomes the glaring example of. I'm not saying wins and losses don't matter at all, but wins and losses don't matter. Like, do you think of any less of Gunther today than you did 2 days ago, or 3 days ago, whatever, as of recording?
Not after what he did to Jimmy. I still think he's a massive heel, and heels tap out. Heels are bad guys. Heels come back, and after what he did to Pat McAfee last night. Woo!
Yeah, that's the follow up, because a lot of people think like, wait, where's this going after this? We got the Sammy Jimmy celebration with Jay on Raw, but the Gunther snapping and literally like, did he break Cole's nose? I mean, like that was crazy.
The whole thing was crazy, and now you get a story. Pat wrestles. Pat can wrestle. Mm-hmm. He's not Gunther level wrestling, but he can get in the ring and do some spots.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a name show. That's a Pat McAfee draw. Name people in. Don't watch wrestling.
I think Pat's taking a break's the issue.
Okay. Oh, well, that would make sense after WrestleMania.
I don't know that, but I think he is. I know he's got the draft coming up this week. He's doing some show.
Yeah, that's
and so, but I'm guessing he's probably going to take a break for or so, and that was a good reason why.
Okay. It worked out real good. He looked like a horrible bastard. Joe Test came out and
filled in great. Yeah,
filled in great. I love Joe Test.
So let's go with the actual follow up here part. So do you think Gunther's coming? Are we going right back to the rematch with Jay, or do they move on into a different direction? Like, do they attack? Does that become?
I think we're going to see a psychopathic Gunther going around harassing people and bothering. I think Imperium, the whole gimmick is dead. Ludwig is not. Not his muscle or not his agent, whatever you want to call him. You're just going to see Gunther going around smashing people till he runs up onto somebody he can't just smash, and then that's going to be his program. There's a lot of people that need programs after Mania. So,
yeah, look, and that's part of the equation. There's what's coming up next, who's facing whatever, and we're going to address another party that I think may bleed into this a little bit later when we talk about his match. The WWE Women's Championship, Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte Flair. Stratton kind of holds her own and retains the title with Charlotte. Yeah,
she really did well in this one. Much admiration for her after that. That's Charlotte Flair, for Christ's sake. Maybe Charlotte could have used a little bit more in-ring time, a little bit more television time after that. The Royal Rumble is not really a match, is it? That's not the kind of match that ring rest off on.
I actually didn't have any problems with her, in-ring stuff. Here's the thing. I understand putting Tiffany over.
Yeah.
And like, hey, we're going to establish her. The question mark becomes then now, but what for Charlotte? How crazy is it? I'm more like, it's not necessarily who's going to step up to Tiffany, but what's next for Charlotte now?
That's a tough one, Nick. That is a tough one. Where does she go? Did she attack Bayley in the back? I mean, where's Charlotte?
Honestly, I think we're going to get a repeat of this.
I wouldn't complain about that at all.
I don't think this is done. I don't think a one and done. I don't think Charlotte Flair walks away with one. With one. I thought the match was really good, chip tooth and all. But yeah. United States Championship, Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight. Jacob Fatu is your new, United States champion, and
I enjoyed this. I am a massive Jacob Fatu mark. Okay. Jesus Christ, Nick.
Yeah, I honestly, we hear guys like Michael Cole say that it would not shock him if Jacob Fatu was in the main event next year. at WrestleMania, wrestling for for one of the either the World Heavyweight Champion or the WWE title. John Cena's the precedent, right? John Cena, that's how he launched. 1 year, he beats Big Show for the United States Championship. Next year, boom, he's in there. JBL, he's off to the races, and we have John Cena.
I don't know. I can't ever get that move, the name of it, but I'm like where he hops from the second rope up to the top rope.
Just basically, I always just say it's a springboard moonsault. I mean,
I almost showed my daughter. I'm like, she was actually watching it with me because she didn't have anything to do, and I'm like, look at this one, look at this. Watch when he did that, because he's a big man, and he just hops and then flies. That's nuts.
Just freakish athlete. Here's the thing that I said to somebody, one of the biggest losers at WrestleMania wasn't even on the card, and it was Solo.
Yeah,
I believe Jacob Fatu is everything they hoped Solo was going to be.
Yes,
and Jacob Fatu has replaced Solo.
Well, Solo, remember he had on the trunks, and he had the thumb thing that he did, and he was supposed to be the big bad enforcer. And then they hired Jacob Fatu.
Yeah.
And now he's kind of like a pudgy guy in a suit. He's like a Samoan Paul Heyman that doesn't talk, if you get my...
There's one hope for Solo, and I promise you folks, here's a teaser. We're coming back to it later into the episode.
Okay.
But yeah, I think Jacob Fatu was a good guy to put this title on. I think he's going to have a long run, and I think by far and away he's going to be the best U.S. champion they've had in a long time. The question becomes now after this, though, what about LA Knight? He ain't coming back for a rematch, folks. We're not getting this rematch because, we don't want to do that to him, I hope. Well, but let me ask you a question. Do they follow suit with their normal format? If he loses and he moves on, does he move on to a Jey Uso or, become one of the challengers for that world title?
That's a good place for him. I mean, there's a lot of... they might want to pull him away from a Bloodline type member for a while. Put him into something else, but it works so well for him. A Braun Strowman program would be set up with him right now. Or a tag team run. God knows tag team wrestling is in the sewer.
This is a crucial moment for LA Knight. I think LA Knight is at that one of those tipping points of he's either going to go this way and rise and go. He's got the reason why I think he needs to go to that world title. If he doesn't, fans are fickle, dude. We know this about wrestling fans. He slides quickly. I think he's the guy that was hot. Ask Cody how fickle fans can be, and we'll get to that in a minute, right? But yeah, I think if LA Knight's trajectory is going to keep going up, they need to move him on to a Jey Uso or something to that effect title.
Okay.
That's just it. That's like I think that's where I would be at with him. The World Tag Team Championship, I am literally going to spend almost no time on this whatsoever.
It's a shame what has happened to professional tag team wrestling.
Here's the thing. Tag team wrestling itself isn't bad. They just don't focus enough on it.
They don't care.
I'm hoping the New Day thing changes it. By the way, did you like the new intro?
I liked everything. Things were going pretty good. I was buying into the match that was about to get started, and then Rusev ran out.
Yeah. I'm hoping that here's the thing. I'm hoping if this is a feud with New Day, let's just say Rusev is going to be a babyface for some reason. I don't get it because he attacked Alpha Academy, so that doesn't make any sense, but not Alpha Academy, but Alpha, yeah. Anyway.
No, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I didn't understand why he came out there, what it did, what it added. It just was his debut. It was a weird time
That's
for
all
it. It was shoehorned in, and
merge those belts. Don't have two tag team champions,
yes.
And let's move forward. I'm not spending any more time on that. Quite arguably, Jade Cargill and Naomi. Jade picks up the big win. Really good match. Thought she damn near killed her with that spinning thing into a power bomb.
Yeah. This is the rocket. This is Jade Cargill's rocket. I don't mean to use the phrase Tony fumbled, but this is Cargill's rocket.
I think after Mania, the WWE fans really want to stop the Tony fumble thing because I got some that I could come back. Triple H did some fumbling this weekend. We'll get to that.
Yeah. He might have.
He fumbled,
but he recovered most of it.
Anyway. So Jade Cargill, by the way, owes Carly Bravo some royalty money for stealing his pose, the little squat thing with it. Anyway. So I guess the question though is Jade Cargill.
Yes.
Are we done with? Here's the question: are we done with Naomi, or do we think this thing continues to move on? And I think it does.
Well, you don't get a rematch because it's not a title match. It moves on. It's done. You may see a shift to a feud with Bianca Belair.
See this? I think this thing, now that Bianca's completely, hopefully, out of that picture for a minute, I think this thing becomes a 3-way, like a feud somehow, somewhere.
And you got Becky Lynch out here that doesn't have anyone now besides Lyra Valkyrie, or because
we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that because that does. I do like they answered a lot of questions last night, Monday night.
They made a lot of questions for me.
El Grande Americano and Rey Fenix was a really good match that honestly nobody wanted. It was supposed to be Mysterio. Look, Grande, here's the problem. You don't want Phoenix to lose, but you can't have Grande Americano lose because clearly we got to continue the Mysterio story when he's healthy. So you can't have Grande take the loss.
You win by cheating. That's how that works. And especially, I don't know Lucha as much as I should, but that seems like a Lucha-esque thing to do in this kind of situation. Make it go longer. But the loaded mask, wouldn't that hurt you too?
Could, yeah.
Okay.
So look, obviously we're gonna continue the Mysterio story at some point here.
Yeah.
That's kind of has to be where it's at. Then of course the main event, arguably. I'm looking back over this card to make sure I'm not going to be speaking in hyperbole. Best match of that night, the triple threat with Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns.
I would love to know who agented all of the multi-person matches, from the 6-woman ladder match on NXT to this. To the women's multi-person match. The multi-person matches on this weekend shows were phenomenal. They were well done, and I think this was probably the best one of them all. Maybe it was the Paul turn that made it so much better. Because, that's that Paul, that Paul spice you just sprinkle on everything. Once you sprinkle Paul spice, it just makes it better. But it was a great match.
You got to change that name. Because you call Triple H Paul and you call Heyman Paul, so you got to start calling him Heyman or
Heyman Salt. Heyman Salt.
Look, I was talking to somebody last night at the show. They were not a fan of this at all. They were talking about how super predictable it was. Everybody saw the Seth, and I was like, look, I have a saying that sometimes predictable, doesn't mean it's bad. It's still got to be executed well. I get it. Look, and this is it. This is a match that, I'm telling you, there was a lot more pushback from a lot of people than I was kind of surprised by it, to be honest with you. I actually thought this match was really well done.
This is exactly how we predicted it because
it's predictable. It was predictable.
We're not really good at this. It was predictable is what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like everybody saw this thing. There was lots of people that saw it coming, but they still pulled it off. And like I said, I did like the way they pulled it off.
It's like when I put on my favorite pair of underwear, Nick. I know how they're going to feel. Doesn't mean they're not comfortable just because I know they're going to be comfortable. They're going to support me. They're going to feel right. They're not going to dig up in me in this chair. And this match gave me what I needed for that. You got your Shield, almost revenge Shield turn. Then I got everything I needed out of this.
I thought they did a really good story part to this to build to all of this. That's what I was happy with. And here's where we'll flesh out a little more here as far as the stuff that's went on. Obviously, the Heyman joining Seth. We end Raw with now clearly Bron Breakker with Seth and Paul Heyman. Bron Breakker. Here's, by the way, there's some story pieces, by the way. It's Roman Reigns' fault. Do you remember a year ago or so, he allowed Paul Heyman to come out with Bron Breakker. There was never an explanation as to why, but he had permission to work with Bron Breakker. Paul Heyman did, and it was the tribal chief gave me permission.
I don't remember that
NXT, so now all of a sudden we've got this like callback to like, it's your fault. You never should have let me work with him.
Man, talk about a spear off. Roman and Braun. Oh God.
Well, here's the thing.
Faction.
I think where this thing could potentially get interesting is I don't think they're done. I think potentially there could be even another person in this group at some point.
The mystery father of WWE that came in for he came in for Elimination Chamber, then went out for cigarettes and never came back. The Rock.
There's a lot to talk about there. We'll come back to him in a minute. But here's what I think happens. I do believe potentially because here's a lot of people are saying like, oh, do Punk and Roman kind of form some kind of, distrustful allegiance to kind of take on this group? I think we go that route, or your other route is recently in an interview, Roman said he thinks after this contract is up, he's probably got about another year or two left, and he's done. So you're somewhere probably around 2 to 3 years max that he's left. So you got to start wrapping things up with Roman Reigns. You've already lost Jay. Jay's on his own. He ain't coming back. But do we start to get the semblance of, does Roman start trying to put the band back together with the bloodline and what's left of it to fight this group? That's potential one. We'll see. But I think the more interesting short-term answer is Punk and Reigns.
Yeah, that would be a good story.
Because they just both like, hey, we don't like each other. We don't trust, but both of us have a problem with that guy, so we're going to go after them.
There's going to be a great tag team match in there where Roman and Punk have to be on the same team trying to coexist, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah. And that's potentially where it is. And we look, for all the reasons we talked about last week, we like I do personally, I guess I shouldn't speak for you. I like the Heyman thing put with him is because I think now, we talked about this a little bit off the air. I think maybe me and you, I'm hoping this is me and you. If it's not, fill me in. There was an interview, there was a conversation. When you start thinking about this, if Roman's saying he's only got 2 or 3 years left, AJ's pretty much said this is his last deal. When he's done, he's gone. Mm-hmm. Cena will be gone in a year. There's not a ton of faith that Cody's sticking around forever because he's going to try the acting thing, so he'll become a part-timer. Randy has come out. Oh, no, Punk said they asked Punk about re-signing when this deal that he has is up, and he said he's not sure. They wanted him to sign a 5-year deal, and he's hesitant to sign a 5-year deal because there's other things he wants to do in wrestling other than actual wrestle. Like he wants to work at the Performance Center, and he wants to work in, and all this other stuff. So my part of that is, so let's say in 3 years, let's go the barometers 3 years. Let's say you've lost Cody, you've lost Roman, you've lost Punk, you've lost AJ. Like your top of your card is starting to thin out pretty quick. So if you have 3 years, you have to build those next level guys, right?
So you have to convert Rollins into a full-time, believable main event guy.
Right.
Elevate Bron Breakker, Drew McIntyre. Well, now it makes sense. Now you showed me where the void's going to be, so now I understand why they've got all this young talent.
I think, look, I get it. Look, John Cena said it yesterday on the Pat McAfee show. I've said it in the past. Look, I'm not putting myself in that category. I'm just saying, folks, Logan Paul's probably going to fill one of those voids.
If they can get him to hold still long enough, he could very much.
He's filling. Will he be part-time? He'll be a little more than part-time, less than full-time. I think he's going to fit in a happy medium there. He just brings too much to the table to be an attraction for them.
Heat magnet.
By the way, people laugh. that guy will be a babyface. And if you don't believe me, I seem to remember at some point everybody swearing that Dom had go away heat, and look at the reaction he got after this, which we will get to in a minute. So my point being,
so bizarre this whole weekend.
My wife was asking me, and my response to her was simple: it's the Mania crowd. They do this. It's you just kind of you have to get outside of WrestleMania week as to how I think the casual regular fan base is going to react week in and week out. Mania reactions are just weird, and then you can't say like, oh well, if they hate Dom next week, on SmackDown and Raw, all right, we're back to normal. But my point was, sorry about that, I got sidetracked there. Seth Rollins, I think they think he's a main event. Like, obviously, here's why I think they see the obvious. He called himself a main event guy, but I don't think anybody realistically put him on the same tier as Cody and Roman and, that tier of guy.
Yeah.
The Heyman thing gets him there.
Yeah.
I think Braun gets there because I think they look at him and they're like, that he's a guy.
He looks like a wrestler. I said to somebody this week, and I said, that's what wrestlers look like in my mind. That's what wrestlers, the Ken Patera model, those guys, that's the kind of thing I grew up on where those guys were the big, it's hard for me to get around.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we get there. I think that's kind of I think Rollins can get there. I think Braun gets there. The obstacle I foresee is, look, the obvious has got to happen. You've just put a ceiling on Bron Breakker, putting him with Seth because he can't pass Seth, right? If he's his muscle. The turn's coming. That's where I'm going. Like, you've got to build Seth to the point he's the Triple H of Randy Orton's turn. Like, that's what you're going for. So you've got to make that work. And then, by the way, then Braun is off to the races as a massively over babyface at that point.
Yeah.
That's what you're hoping for. Let's go ahead and jump to night 2. The triple threat led it off. Io Sky, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley. You've already sang the praises of this match, talked about how much you loved it.
So hard to follow something like that, though. They did, but God, I was so intimidated. I was so worried they wouldn't be able to follow such a terrific match.
Quick question. Obviously, I think because neither one of us picked her. I mean, we both picked other people, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I never saw Io Sky winning this.
No.
Threw up all kinds of question marks, unless this is what led me to believe what we discussed earlier. Bianca's got to fall back into the Jade Naomi thing, I'm guessing. But what's next for Rhea Ripley? Like,
she did that run-in last night in the middle of that whole thing, but Io Sky was involved. It really worked. I think this was to legitimize Io Sky as a super duper champion. Now, they announced her as part of Damage Control when she walked out. I'm like,
is she? She is, because she walks around with Dakota Kai.
Yeah,
so,
but I didn't even know the faction was really still even functioning.
Yeah, it's a mess. That one's
that's just a good one. There's so much to go for from here. You've got 3 of the most talented stars. You probably got isn't she the most decorated Japanese star in WWE? A female Japanese star. I don't know what to tell you, man. I just think this is a great potential launch for everyone involved.
Here's the problem. They were so crowded to begin with. Anyway, that NXT influx of women, I'm like, I don't know. I might pump the brakes and push them back a little bit and see, just because I don't know that there's a place for them yet. We're going to find out. But here's the thing. I think that's the last of the. Okay, yes, there is one later.
Okay, but Vaquer ready. Julia, I don't know how much she probably does the WWE style yet. Roxanne's already been out there.
Mm-hmm.
Sol Ruca is, once they get her like tuned in right, she'll be, the next Charlotte Flair in my opinion.
The reason I think we're going to have an issue with the men's roster is because we just had a women's match that did not have a title on it on WrestleMania.
Yeah,
that's going to become more and more predominant because I think that if the reason it typically was always title matches because the roster wasn't perceived as deep enough to have non-title feuds.
Yes.
So when the tag belts are here, whatever, like I think you could still. There's going to be enough meat on the bone. You're going to have women fighting over other things.
Well, I mean, and if the women keep popping these massively skilled, emotional draw-in matches like they have been, and like they did on WrestleMania, you may start seeing less men's matches. It's not Glow, for Christ's sakes, but they're really, really starting to put out some of the best matches on the card. Not as an attraction type specialty match, but as a main working WrestleMania match. So we'll see.
Yeah. Intercontinental Championship, Fatal 4-Way. Dominik Mysterio is your new Intercontinental Champion. Defeated Bron Breakker, Finn Balor, and Penta. Right call? Question mark?
Yes, right call. Definitely. Now that I saw Braun come out last night, now I understand everything. But Dom is the one you want to put a belt on right now. Penta's still too new to WWE. I'm not saying anything about his skill. He just got there. Don't put a belt on him yet. Finn Balor, you need the heat to make the whole Judgment Day storyline impact or implode is the word I'm looking for. Dom, oh, man. And the kid kills it. He always does such a great job.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, I think this is how I'm the Finn Balor Dominik Mysterio piece is the biggest question mark for me. Yeah. Bron Breakker made perfect sense, pulling him off. I think Penta will go off and be a star. We'll figure out his feud down the road. Look, I don't know. Do you involve him in the El Grande Americano thing? If Mysterio is going to be out for an extended period of time,
he beat his brother.
So we got it. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, so that could be an avenue. Dominik Mysterio, I think he's going to have a good run here with the IC title. By the way, somebody got angry with me, and I said he's reached the ceiling. Dominik Mysterio will never be a world champion. I don't think so. Unless he repackages in some form or fashion. I think the gimmick we see him in is not going to be the world champion, but that's just me.
He'll repackage at least 2-3 more times.
We'll see. Sin City Street Fight, McIntyre and Damian Priest just went out there and beat the heck out of each other.
No color.
Tables. That didn't surprise me. It didn't surprise me in the least.
But it's a street fight. We had a Philadelphia street fight this year. We get a Las Vegas street fight. Last year we get a Las Vegas street fight this year. But no color. It's a street fight. It wasn't even anything special. They didn't even go onto the streets or anything.
They just threw 3 tables and claymores with chairs and dropped little bombs on the the steel steps in the ring.
I get that. But when I hear street fight, I think Dusty Rhodes.
See, I don't. It's Bunkhouse Stampede when I think of Dusty.
Well,
Rhodes.
You know what I mean.
Yes. Look, I think here's what happened. By the way. Damian Priest he's fine. He'll be fine from this. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, he's starting to downslide." He'll be fine. But Drew McIntyre, let's think back a little bit. He had a rough little patch there of taking some losses.
Yeah.
I think he needed this win, and this is how much I think he needed this win. I think he immediately might be a guy that's challenging Jey Uso.
He has
with this win.
He has legit back. He has the currency is what I'm looking for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The open challenge, Randy Orton and Joe Hendry. Obviously, Joe Hendry took the loss.
So cool.
It might be one of the most polarizing things that I've seen all weekend was about this match. People are like, essentially, they buried the TNA champion, with a squash match or whatever. Look,
how many WWE championships does Randy Orton have? 5, 10, 14. Okay, he's an icon. He's Randy Orton, the apex predator. Joe Hendry's good, but he's not an apex predator. No one would believe that Joe Hendry could come out there and beat Randy Orton in his WrestleMania debut.
So I want to give you a live reaction thought process for me. When he came out, the reaction he got, because I was kudos to that.
Yes.
it's a win for TNA, and it's a win for Joe Hendry because of the reaction he got alone. And I can't tell you the millions and millions of people that watched him who were like, who is this guy? Hear me out. I want to hear your reaction to this. Why do I think it's a win? Simply by the reaction he got coming to the ring. Because for all of the millions of people that watched that had no idea who Joe Hendry was, when they saw the fans reacting, they immediately went to, oh, it's my fault I don't know who this guy is. Not because he's clearly somebody.
Yes, he's clearly somebody that's popular and famous. And these people are very happy to see him here. Because I met Joe at WrestleCade.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Dave walked over and talked to him. He shot that happy birthday video for Erica for no charge for me. I'm putting up my autographs on the wall sometime this week. I've got a Joe Hendry one that's going to go right behind me. Super nice guy. But that's your WrestleMania debut. You popped the crowd. It worked out. It just showed WWE understands the internet and social media appeal.
They just gave him an opportunity to be exposed in front of millions of people who had no idea who. That's why.
And that helped TNA more than anything else of this whole TNA contract, this whole TNA deal. Putting a TNA superstar on Wrestle effing Mania.
Yeah, they were guys in that company who did not get matches. Think about that. There were guys that people were screaming like, why does this guy not have a match? Joe Hendry had a match. Enough said. But Randy Orton just is on a whole other level of far. So when you got, he got beat by Randy really quick. And by the way, he got beat with an RK out of nowhere, right? Like a move that's like, hey, it can happen at any time. Yeah. Right. Literally. So absolutely. I was happy for Joe Hendry, though. I think that's a good thing for them and TNA. Logan Paul and AJ Styles. This match had all the potential in the world, and I was completely disappointed in it.
Great talents. Great, phenomenal talents. I am so tired of Karrion Kross in the storyline.
It's going to get more, but yeah.
I'm assuming. Well, the thing is, one of these people, I'm assuming Logan Paul will step out for a while. It'll be AJ and Karrion Kross. We'll see.
Listen, I honestly thought, as dumb as this sounds, Logan Paul versus Dominik Mysterio for the Intercontinental title.
Next, yes, that'd be perfect.
I mean, you could do that. You could see, because here's my thing: Logan Paul needs to be back into a title picture. I know, blasphemy. I think he like, just with who he is and I think he needs to be in there.
Everybody as a fan decides what they think is right for the business, but really, it's what they think is right for them. Very few times do people put the importance of the wrestling business ahead of what they think is their idea for the wrestling business. Everybody's a booker in their heads, and everyone else is wrong.
Yeah. I think, with this match, I think that you're 100% right. And here's the problem. The match wasn't bad. I thought they were going to do more.
Oh, it's really good. They're
my
phenomenally talented. Yes.
So it was my fault. Like I said, my expectations was too high. So that's when I said, like, I was disappointed. My expectations, not what they did. The Karrion Kross, hot take number one, has turned himself into the new Miz, I think. He's created a value on social media. He has created a value in doing other things that he's becoming a Mr. Company guy behind the scenes. By the way, Triple H apparently likes him. So you have that. You make yourself where you're always accessible. You're always, you're just a team player. You're doing whatever they need. You're working stuff on social media. I think he's going to be there for. Look, I could be totally wrong. I think he's just created a value.
Wife. Yeah. That's he's the Dark Miz.
Yeah.
Okay. He's the evil Miz.
So I think we're going to see this spin out.
Miz got a great career out of that.
I wouldn't be shocked if they all three ended in a feud, in a triple threat. But I think we're going to more likely see AJ and Kross. Look, AJ's on the way out, folks. It's time AJ's going to start doing some favors and putting some youngers. So, the women's tag team title match. This makes less sense today than it did when it happened, in my opinion.
I still don't understand what happened to Bayley. or why it happened to Bayley, or why they had to get Bayley out of that match.
To get Becky in.
Yes, but there was really.
By the way, but Becky, I think part of the issue, what we're going to find out is Becky took Bayley out. It's going to be their angle they run with to get her a match at Mania. And that's how she went in there. She won the tag belts. Now, I don't understand the turn the next night, other than the fact
Lyra and Becky had a phenomenal program in NXT. Okay? They did some great stuff. Lyra is phenomenally, I keep using the word phenomenally, but Lyra is a great talent. And Becky, Becky Lynch can't get you over, who can get you over? Because they created the ultimate drama. Liv Morgan is one of the most popular women's wrestlers in WWE. So you get a match with them at WrestleMania. You beat them and take the titles off. It's glorious. You lose the titles the next night. It's confusing.
Yeah.
And then Becky, and you know what the fans were calling for? One more time. One more time. They wanted to see Becky keep attacking her.
Let's go back to what I said earlier about the wrestling fans over the WrestleMania weekend. I don't.
But she kept going in and doing it. I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. It's going to take a week or two to get away from WrestleMania to see where the real heat is in this. Is Becky a heel? Is Becky a face? Is Lyra in?
Is Becky going to be by herself against Lyra? You don't want to know that. Here's the argument, by the way. It's because we want to get Becky Lynch the Intercontinental Women's title.
Yeah.
That's what we're going with.
Yeah.
And by the way, once you get Lyra out of the picture, we've already set the table. She's the one who attacked Bayley. So now we have Bayley and Becky for the Intercontinental title, for the women's Intercontinental title.
SummerSlam?
If not before that, but yeah.
Now, did Becky have anything to do with Bianca Belair's attack? Or nope. Naomi did that on her? Okay, let's write this better. Come on, folks.
Yeah.
You're not an indie. You're not an indie promotion. We can't have all these.
It's always the easy solution. It's always the easy solution. Yeah. So in the long term, I think that's where we're probably headed. Or by the way, what if Bayley can get back on track and go after Chelsea Greens and go on to a different show? Because we have to remember, from my understanding, the draft is coming. We can shuffle the cards so we can put everybody where we want them to get them into the right thing. Not that the draft matters, because brand thing doesn't matter.
With the women, the next contenders for the women's tag team belts are Judy Dolan and what's her name? The dark-haired Tatum Paxley. They're the number one contenders for the women's tag team belt. So they get the next shot versus Liv and Raquel. So those belts, the cool thing about the women's tag team belts is you can run them on any show. You don't have to, you can take the people that have those belts and transplant them around to any product, which I love. But maybe they do have to reshuffle. You think they're going to do it concurrent with the NFL draft? Are we going to get some kind of big reveal?
No, the draft is this week. So they'll do it sooner than later, but I think the dates and I don't have time to look at it for the date.
I can't wait to see. That's one thing I can't wait to see with the NFL, how NIL and NFL match.
What do you mean?
Are you going to get a smaller salary coming out of
some
college?
Guys will. Some guys can, yeah.
That's nuts. That your college salary be more than your pro salary.
No, I mean, now granted, it depends on where you go. But look, obviously, let's just get to the headliner here. The main event, the undisputed WWE Championship. John Cena defeats Cody Rhodes. John Cena is now the 17-time world champion. He's the GOAT. He's the man. He's dethroned Ric Flair for the most titles, kind of, depending on who you ask and what Wikipedia you're reading. Because Ric Flair says, by the way, I'm 20, not 16, but whatever.
That's Ric Flair, though.
That's Ric Flair. Yeah, he's anyway. But he did congratulate him on social media, so kudos to Ric Flair.
John deserved it. Randy's cocked and locked, ready to go right behind him. Does Randy have 3-4 more left in him? I don't think so.
His clock. So now Randy's not one of those. Randy said, believe it or not, Randy's like, I think I can sign another 5-year deal after this one's up. He thinks he's doing well enough that he thinks that he's like, I think I'm good. He can make a run. So we'll tell.
25 WrestleManias.
I mean, we'll see. Like I said, we will see.
Michael Cole. I think Michael Cole's the only person that has more WrestleManias than
28. Yeah, 28. It's crazy. So first of all, I did like the entrance. Believe it or not, I like the plain black, like just his name, no frills, nothing crazy. Just boom. I'm gonna walk down to the ring and So here's the thing: the people that are putting this post out there, I'm asking. This is a question, Myron. The people that have this popular post that's been going around about, oh, if you hated it, you didn't realize that's what they were trying to do. John Cena said he was gonna ruin wrestling and he was gonna make it. He made it boring on purpose. He made the match bland on purpose. Travis Scott interfered because that's what people would hate it. Blah blah blah. Listen, I told you I was gonna hold until after Raw. I waited till after Raw. The Rock not being there it's like it's not. Somebody asked me and I said to them, this isn't even a plot hole anymore. You haven't done anything.
This is an attendance issue now. Okay? You hear that music play when Travis Scott is like coming down and he does the world's longest entrance walk, which ruined all of the chemistry and the progression of the match because they just had to sit there. They weren't working. They were just sitting there waiting on Travis Scott to get down there. And then, but after you heard Travis Scott's music played, you looked behind him. You didn't look at Travis Scott. You were looking for the next person to come out the curtain, and there was nobody.
There's social media clips out there of people like Cody Rhodes and like John Cena like walking out, and people are still got their cameras on going like, Rock's coming out. Like, hey, I can feel it. He's coming out. And it just never happened. And you're like, you would be wrong. I was like, I'm going to hold my tongue until Raw because they got to address it.
They had to have him on Raw. I knew he was going to be on Raw.
No. Like,
did we see Ava on NXT? Stand and Deliver? Were there any of the family there for the weekend?
Listen, I don't understand it, and I understand. Look, I go out of my way. I like the whole road to WrestleMania. I'm like, hey, let's let it play out. Let's see what happens.
Rock will be there Friday.
Rock will be there Friday.
We had that conversation. The Rock's got to be there Friday.
Yeah, and then it was like, okay, well now he's going to be there during the match. He's got to show up there at least during the match or something, right? No. Then we said, hey, got to be on Raw, got to explain it. Maybe they're going to celebrate. He's going to present his champion with the spinner belt or something. Nothing.
But not even like a pre-show appearance, not even a conversation with Pat McAfee. Like,
by the way, I'm going to turn my mute button down. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is supposed to be on the Pat McAfee show today. As we record, we're recording on Tuesday. Spoiler alert. Pat is apparent. Look, I don't have the volume on, but Pat is addressing being attacked last night by Gunther on Raw. So there is that.
Is he doing it alone, or is The Rock there?
Oh no! He's on his show. He's hosting his show today.
And so, is The Rock making an appearance? You said
he's supposed to make an appearance on the Pat McAfee show today. So we'll see. But look, we're recording prior to it happening. Obviously, they're showing him escorting Gunther out of the building. So he's just kind of So it is what it is, folks. I could turn subtitles on and you will see. But anyway, I just don't know how to like address the fact that I'm not even like crapping on a match because I've watched plenty of John Cena matches. So I wasn't going to be like,
there was nothing wrong with the match. But as the match was going, it just stopped, and we waited for Travis Scott. And then, while we were waiting on Travis Scott, we were all like, come on, Rock. Come on out now.
At one point, I actually thought Rock was going to come in from the other side or something.
Or a run-in, or something.
Something. I don't know. But anyway, long story short, let's just get to the...
They're hiding him. They're hiding him.
What? I can't I need it. Here's the thing. I understand the, like, hey, we're leaving you guessing and we're breadcrumbs or whatever. I'm like, dude, I need something. I'm not asking you to give me the full,
taste.
Something to make me go, why? Because up to this point, Eric Bischoff's take on John Cena heel turn is absolutely spot on. Nobody's buying it. There's no emotional
people cheered him that entire match.
Again,
they weren't booing John Cena. They were cheering him. I thought we were going to see a Hogan Rock thing. WrestleMania 18, where the whole match was rebooked based on how it was going and how the crowd was reacting. But I was perplexed. I was really perplexed. And people are like disappointed because they didn't get The Rock and they got Travis Scott doing that stupid shit. And then that colors their opinion of the match. That they look at that and they don't remember the good parts of the match. It was a good, decent match, but it was missing the hook we were wanting and all thought we were going to get. It's like opening a Christmas present and getting socks when you knew it was going to be an Xbox.
Yeah, man, like I said, I'm just struggling with the Rock thing. It's like it's big because somebody goes, "Oh, man, it is a pretty big plot hole." It's not a plot hole. Like, dude, this is like there's just nothing there.
Where is he? Does anyone know where he is?
Like, if you could, again, I'm in 100% agreement. This is not me trying to steal somebody else's thoughts. Bischoff brought up a great point. If you couldn't deliver, why did you start it?
You started it massively.
Like
that pop at Elimination Chamber, that whole thing, that everybody was like, well, when he was pulling his hand across his throat, he held up this many fingers, and that people were analyzing The Rock's every movement there. And even Cena came back and quoted him.
He wanted him to be his champion.
Later.
So are you his champion? You didn't even mention that. Think about that. He was wanting to be he wanted to be The Rock's champion, his corporate champion or whatever. And he's like, you didn't even mention it. You came out and all you told us, hey, I got 27 more appearances. I'm not talking matches.
I like
I'm
that. I like the
I did like that part. I understand. I agree. I didn't disagree with that. But what I'm saying is that's what you gave us instead of telling us okay. And when somebody asked you about the Rock thing, it's clickbait. I'm not going to answer those questions. I'm going to move on.
I'm enjoying this John Cena a lot. He's the disgruntled employee on a 2-week notice.
I like it to some degree, but I'm like, does he believe it? Like, I don't know that the emotional.
Well, he still has John Cena, the evil heel, still has a hat that says "Reject Hate" on it. Okay, so it's like, I'm still John Cena, the super nice guy who likes to do all these Make-A-Wish.
If you haven't watched him yesterday on Pat McAfee's show, you should watch it. I thought this is how dumb it sounds. There was almost a better explanation on the Pat McAfee show than there has been on Raw, SmackDown, and the WrestleMania. And I'm like, because there were points he said that even Michael Cole goes, because Michael Cole was kind of on the panel with Pat, and he's like, I can kind of respect that. I can understand that. Like, that makes sense. And I'm like, fucking say it on Raw. You know what I mean? Like, you're just like, oh, jeez. Literally, it drove me to drop a DF bomb, right? Like, I'm like,
you haven't dropped one of those in probably 5 years, maybe.
I'm just like, oh, you're killing me, dude. Like, this is why are we doing this here on Pat McAfee and it should be on? But it does happen. So, and then of course, Randy Orton, RKO out of nowhere, clearly is going to be the guy. He's going to try to go after Cena.
Now that's good. That sounds epic.
Now let me ask you this: we're running over, so we got to start wrapping this thing up. But I wanted to ask you this because I knew, Backlash is in St. Louis and Randy's hometown. Obviously they don't dare take it off of him immediately, right? And put it right onto Randy. I see a scenario where they could. If this is, do we get to the Rock's turn on the Rock real quick? He doesn't think Randy can beat, or he doesn't think Cena can beat Randy. Interferes, backfires, boom. and we have the split or something like that, whatever. But I don't like that at all, but I can see it happening. The question I wanted, though, is, but shouldn't Randy have been the last opponent for...
Yeah.
And not now? He should have been at the end, not now.
You can't see me. His time is now. Is it Randy's time is now? I don't know what's going on. I've never been more perplexed about something that I knew. Something that was the biggest thing on wrestling social media ever. The John Cena heel turn. The John Cena face. The expressions on his face. And then all of a sudden, yeah. Nah. We're just going to kind of let that fizzle. John's been great, but he's not had a supporting cast to go along with this.
But it's the reasonings. They just, like I said, don't make any sense, because my thought process was, you get to Randy at the end, John Cena, if you're going to, hypothetical, if you're going to run with John Cena as the champion all the way till December and somebody's got to get it off of him, why not at the last minute, we're going to pick the guy who knows him better than anybody? The guy that's been there with him since day one. They were in the same OVW class.
Stuff, yeah. There's a lot of montages there. I love
that's what I mean, like, literally, you build it, and then so that the last hope to keep John Cena from taking the lineage of that title away is Randy Orton, and Randy Orton claims 15 when he takes it from John on the way out the door, and literally, like, kind of passes that torch back a little bit, something to that effect, to Randy Orton. To waste it, I'm not saying you don't come back to that, but to waste it this early, because here's the thing. Over the last couple years, being a comic book guy and a DC movie guy and a Marvel movie guy, blah, 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 I've soured on The Rock a little bit over the years, last few years specifically. If you cause Henry Cavill to pull out of movies and then, by the way, leave your ex-wife as an agent, she was a representative of Henry Cavill, and he was like, yeah, I'm out, all out. Like, I'm out of these movies, and I'm out as using her as representation. I like Henry Cavill. He seems like a pretty chill dude, very, philosophy, like, hey, I'm at peace with a lot of things. That's where you started, like, the Rock's foundation shook a little bit for me when that happened. And now that more things come along, like, hey, I'll come back, but you're giving me all my IP back. You're giving me, and again, people said, hey, he earned it. Sure. If somehow, some way, The Rock weasels his way into being John Cena's last match because they think that's the draw, I will be utterly disgusted at Survivor Series if that's the case.
You might as well book it. I found the list of all the rest of the events for the year and next year, and you might as well put that on the list. If The Rock's arrogance is as profound as you say it is, and he is actually on the board, he will insert himself into John Cena's final match.
Because here's the thing. I had a conversation with somebody last night at a show. A couple of wrestlers were all standing around talking, and they're like, then why even have The Rock? What if they're not going to explain it at this point? And I said, because The Rock wanted to be a part of John Cena's heel turn. How are we going to do that? I don't know, but that's what we want. That's what Rock wants, and he's going to do it. So we'll get him in there. We'll figure it out later. Oh, he doesn't even know if he can make it to WrestleMania? Yeah, we'll figure that part out.
Or he don't know if he can make it to anything besides Elimination Chamber? Okay. We'll make that part too.
Did he have a window for something? Last time I checked, is anybody beating his doors down to make movies? I don't know. Good question, right? Look, that's...
Well...
I'm going to leave that be.
At least he wasn't riding four-wheelers or golf carts this weekend.
So. Yeah, that's a whole other scare in itself. By the way, that lady flopped worse than LeBron James. I said that in the chat.
Stephen P. New.
I was shaking my head like, what? So now in hindsight, coming back, I will tell you what you asked me to lead the show off before we night one, probably a good B. Yeah. Solid B, B+. Night 2, B. If the Cena thing, if they give me Rock, it's an A. And a lot of people are like stunned by that. Overall, give it a solid B. It is what it is. But yeah, so anyway. you brought up Rusev coming back. I mean, overall, we've kind of covered Raw as we went along. I don't know of anything else. And by the way, if you know what, Myron, had you been a member over at patreon.com/tappedoutpod, you'd have seen the review. It was already put up prior to recording. We reviewed night 1 separately, night 2 separately, Raw, after separated. All those reviews are right there, even at it's our lowest level. Yeah, we try to do them as I get it. Night 1 took a little while. It was a long night, so it was so the night 1 went up a little bit in the afternoon. But again, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. It's where you get the shows early. You get the bonus content. Of course, we've already showed, we talked earlier about the digital and the physical 8x10 autographs that you can get by being at those higher levels, man. Look, I'm excited about them. I hope you are as well. But look, that's WrestleMania week, if you want to. We didn't even talk about the Hall of Fame. Maybe there's a Patreon video where we break down the Hall of Fame, because boy, do I have takes.
Watch it, I think I've got naps first, though.
Take one, watch everything up until Triple H's. Take a nap, then watch Triple H's. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So,
okay.
But anything else, man, before we get out of here?
No,
today?
Man. I am a happy wrestling fan. I got my WrestleMania. My year started fresh again last night. I can't wait for NXT. Enjoy it, folks. Find something you love about professional wrestling and enjoy it. If it's going to your local independent, go there. If it's watching AEW, do that. We don't need to be tribal. We don't need to be fighting each other. It's all the same wrestling. Unfortunately,
I think the tribalism is about to hit a whole nother level, and that's a whole other show. Yeah. Level. So, well, man, if that's everything you got, man, what's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.